Family, welcome to this edition of I'm Not Crazy, but with Dr. Rhonda Mattox. I'm Dr. Rhonda Mattox, fellowship trained psychiatrist, and we are having a conversation today, a unique conversation that you can't get anywhere else. Engaging, informative, reflecting our personal and our professional experiences with some amazing dynamic guests. And family, today we're talking about when Superwoman bites the dust. How does she get back up and pick up the pieces again? We're talking about how to pick up the pieces with our weight, with our social life, and perhaps even with our professional lives. Now, as I welcome our all-star cast, you know what to do. Rep your city. Tell us where you're watching from. And not only that, I know you know some super women who bit the dust during the pandemic. Go ahead and share so they can partake of some of this that we are about to partake of. Now, let me tell you who my all-star cast is, and that is the Dr. Angela Walker and the Sylvia Morris. These are two Georgetown College of Medical student graduates, and I'm so glad to have them on. They're also co-authors of the game plan, Becoming a Doctor and Living a Life in Medicine. Family. Dr. Walker is a wife, a mother, a daughter, a friend, and as you see, a woman of color. Medical director Dr. Sylvia E. Morris is a board certified internal medicine doc who is a hospitalist. She's a former medical director, former assistant professor of medicine at Emory. And I know their names may sound right fancy, but listen, we know how to break it down so that you can get the most out of this. And of course, I have with me an amazing producer who is always in the house and bringing the male perspective and also bringing a little bit of calm and a whole lot of peace with us. Thank you. How are you, family?
I feel
Doing well today.
I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the Puff Daddy of producers because I'm all in the videos. I'm all in the song.
Now, lest you think that he is a Puff Daddy of producers, understand that I invite him on because he is a welcome guest and I love, love, love to have his perspective. The other thing is he is my resident comedian. He makes us laugh and helps us to stay grounded. So we are always thankful that you're able to be here. And I am glad that all of you are tuning in as well. Like I said, you know what to do. Tell us where you're calling in. If you already know that you have a question about how to pick up the pieces, I need you to just go ahead and drop them in. We will be regularly checking in with you in the audience so that we can share your comments and also answer some of your questions. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into it. You know, I always like to get on the same page as we're talking about how the pandemic wrecked our balance, our equilibrium, our brilliance, our bodies. Okay. Let me just say right there, our bodies. Family, I self-soothe along with many of my sisters with ice cream. Bluebell is my thing with ice cream. And I know Dr. Sylvia said she likes sweet tea, with all of these things. And these COVID calories packed on some pandemic pounds that I am now struggling. When I say struggling, you know what? Let me stop lying. I'm not struggling. I'm just living happily with them. But these ladies are going to talk to us about how to get our bodies back together, how to get our minds back together. Is that right?
Absolutely. And let me just go ahead and confess from the very beginning. During COVID, certainly I was working directly with patients and I was eating apple pie with ice cream every evening, maybe with a glass of red wine, because of course, red wine is healthy. We can get to that. And a little dose of tortilla chips sprinkled throughout the day as my healthy snack because they are unsalted. So you are not alone, Dr. Rhonda, in trying
Yeah.
to kind of come back from some what we will call maladaptive or bad coping habits.
And I will tell you, a little bit of self-soothing with carbs is not a bad thing. But family, when I started to see the double chin, I got a little bit concerned. And I want you all to know that even though we're health professionals, even though we are in the industry, you are not alone. Sometimes when I tell patients, like when I give them some counsel, I will feel just a wee bit hypocritical, and so that I will share with them, this can be a struggle for all of us, but let's just make some small steps. So as we're talking about small steps, who wants to jump in and talking about small steps as it relates to either uh, our how we're managing our mental health or our physical health? And I'll let you all choose because there's so much to cover.
Yeah, I think in regards to mental health, in the beginning, as a doctor, we heard about the coronavirus and like, nah, we've had coronavirus forever, and then when it really impacted everyone and everything was shut down, it was like, oh my goodness, this is not something I had planned for. And maybe as an internist, Dr. Morris can comment, but as an OBGYN, it was not on my radar. So, just being completely overwhelmed with the aspect of still having to be in the hospital, taking care of patients. We learned as we went, going home to, at that time, kids at home, a husband at home, and worrying about taking COVID home to them. It was extremely stressful. And then all of the recommendations that people either didn't know to follow or chose not to follow, but you still had to, take care of everyone. It just impacted the amount of stress that I felt personally, and I know a lot of my colleagues felt. So luckily, I think, the pandemic or the beginning of the pandemic was awful, but there were, a lot of positive things I think that came out of it. It's the online community and the things that were, I think, imparted. A lot of it was self-care. Hey, you've got to take care of yourself, and people looking out for each other. And for me, my self-care routine for me personally has always started with prayer, but mindfulness activities I actually have to attribute to my good friend Dr. Morris. When she first told me about asking if I had talked about mindfulness practice with my daughter like 4 years ago, I was like, what did you say? But there are even apps, that you can use now. And I profess that that's one of the things that I use on a daily basis. I think there are multiple apps out there. I choose to use the Calm app. It's just easy. I can pick what amount of time I want to use to meditate. And it's just, for me, it's a reset. So in the midst of any type of crazy activity or being overwhelmed or being uncentered, meditation, even a 7-minute stop, is a reset for me.
Absolutely. And as Dr. Walker said, she's OB-GYN, and we in medical school, we heard about coronavirus. It was not a new virus for us. It was the COVID, but we didn't realize how life-changing COVID-19 was going to be to our community, because we're always getting these, there's a wolf outside, and then there's no wolf, the bird flu, the different things, but we've been hearing all of these, and then there's nothing. And so it did kind of take us by surprise. And I had the luxury as a psychiatrist, of course, of being able to stay, to do work from home. But my colleagues and most of you had to do other stuff. And so she talked about the Calm app. She talked about meditation. She talked about prayer, those types of things. What about you, Dr. Sylvia? Hi, Alice.
Yeah, definitely I remember when they shut down the NBA, and I was like, oh, this is serious as far as COVID is concerned. But honestly, I just want people to pick one thing. Let's keep it really simple. So if you are interested in maybe trying to shave off a few pounds, I know I lost my waistline during the pandemic. I'm working on getting it back. So if you can exercise, and exercise doesn't have to be complicated, walking. Everyone probably has a pair of athletic shoes in their closet. You put them on and you go for a walk. It can be as short as 15 minutes or just walk around the block if you're not already walking. Because that is a simple, easy way to burn some more calories and just to feel better.
Yes, absolutely. And I was talking to someone earlier this morning and she said, they're telling me to walk 3 times, 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. I don't have it. I said, well, start with 10 minutes a day. The important thing is to start where you are and to do something. And of course, as I'm saying this, I have this little guy on my shoulder saying, do you hear what you're saying? Do you hear it? I feel like I need to have you all come back and we need to check in with, did I actually do what I'm hearing today? Family, what do you think? We need to do this again. So I am committing these two to coming back to hear about if I'm actually doing what I'm telling you to do, because we're going to hold each other accountable, family. So walking 10 to 30 minutes a day, start somewhere. If you can't do 30 minutes, do it, but do something. Now, I am told that you can do all the exercising you want to do on the planet, but if you are not paying attention to what you put into your body, and many times what we put into our body is, it can be from self-soothing, but it can also be as it can also reflect that we're not valuing or honoring. Can you walk while eating ice cream? I want you to know that this is a man after my own heart. I know this came from Ellis. I know none of my viewers had the audacity to put this in here. As we've been seeing online, audacity is at an all-time high. And in this one, I'm trying to do better, but you see what I'm working with, right?
I'm just
I don't
trying
really
to
care the word ice cream.
I'm here for the people. I'm here for the people.
He's here for the people. I want you.
Try to give you an option, right? So if you want to walk, right, for 30 minutes, you can have the ice cream in your hand, you're walking. It's the best of both worlds, right? It's a win-win. You get the ice cream. No?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm trying. All right.
I want you to know that what I do to get so that I don't feel badly, because I had some Bluebell last night, but when I made my milkshake, I made it with almond milk and a little bit of vanilla.
I'm sorry, Dr. Rhonda, you said milkshake?
Hold on, wait. See,
just a few questions. So how much ice cream are we putting in said milkshake? Because I thought you meant Bluebell. They have these cute little tiny containers that seem to be the appropriate serving size. They sell at my local supermarket. And yes, maybe I eat 2 at a time, but that's really beside the point. So how much ice cream are we putting in this milkshake?
About 2 fistfuls.
Your fist or Ellis's fist?
That's beside the point. With some almond milk, which is only 80 calories.
That makes it healthy, right?
But when I'm being good, if I'd had bananas, I would have made it out of bananas,
There you go.
and avocado, and put a little bit of cocoa in it, and it would have been a much healthier version. So I don't go to Dairy Queen and get it. Hey, Sharma Janae. Hey, Jennifer. We're so glad you're here. And we're going to start acting better now that we know we have active listeners. But, well, I won't say acting better. I will say, okay, acting better. Yeah. But I just want the people to understand. I understand the journey, because when I told my husband I was about to go get a milkshake, he was like, "It's late. You don't need to go out there." So I made my own, and it was good. It was a healthy version. I'm off topic, family. I'm sorry. We're gonna circle back. I'm off topic, but on topic. As we were talking about self-soothing with calories, what you just heard me sound like was off topic was to say, if you're going to indulge in something decadent, try to make a healthier version of it. Did I work that?
That was good.
That was a perfect segue.
Perfect segue. So tell us, for those of us who are from the South, who like sweet tea and collard greens and different things, how do we have these things that bind us together. Because when people die, we eat. When people get married, we eat. When we break up with our husbands, we eat. When we get a promotion, we eat. We are eating. We are an eating people. We love eating. So how do we do it in a healthier way so that it's not eating carrot sticks? And you remember those rice cakes they used to make?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
ate those all through medical school. Yes.
How do we self-soothe in a way that feels decadent, but that's not as calorie intense? That's my question.
I think there's
Everything in moderation, including moderation. So we're going to start with one thing. So your milkshake is a perfect example. I know I was ribbing you a little bit of a way to, well, how do I change that? So you're using almond milk, which is great. Occasionally you're dropping in a banana, which certainly has fiber as well as a fruit, and the avocado, which is healthy fat. So tweaking the recipe in such a way that it is a little bit healthier. We know that people are putting smoked turkey in their collard greens as opposed to pork for salt reasons, as well as people like different types of proteins. We can always load up things with more vegetables. So we're going to add the turnip back to our turnip greens in addition to the greens themselves. So it's tiny little things, and nothing happens overnight. So I didn't gain 20 pounds during COVID in one session having my apple pie with ice cream. It was all the tiny decisions I made over the course of many, many days. So I say that because I want people to remember let's just change one thing, because we want to set ourselves up for success.
I love it. I love it.
I think we've had the advantage, at least I have, with COVID, and particularly during the time where everything was shut down, is learning about a lot of different recipes. And so maybe just trying to find the things that you really love, whether it's sweet potatoes, or as Dr. Morris mentioned, greens. Start experimenting with healthier versions of what you like. So instead of the sweet potatoes with the butter and brown sugar and all that, let's try a different alternative to the things that you really love, healthy alternatives. And eating and taste, just a lot of it is with experimentation. So trying the different recipes to tweak it to a healthier version for you and your family. And as a mother, you definitely, from my perspective anyway, that if you put it out there, they may not try it right away, but if you continue to put it out there and you explain, that it's still the same basic food, but you're trying something better, sometimes you can provide something healthier for them as well. So I think we can still indulge when we go to the wedding, or unfortunately the funerals and things like that. You can't control what somebody's putting out there, but you can control what's in your home. And so being intentional about trying to create some healthier alternatives now is really important.
Absolutely.
Can I say I think COVID gave us an excuse to relax some of our better eating habits, because a lot of us were isolated. A lot of us were feeling the stress of what was happening in terms of social distancing and masking and all of this stuff, and schools being shut down, and talking about the NBA closing, all this other stuff. I'm a big football fan. The games were terrible because there's no fans in the stands. It was a bad year. It gave us an excuse. But I would say let's take that same COVID excuse as a way to come out of that. The pounds, I'd say I put on my pandemic pounds. I said I put on my COVID-19 to my body. But that excuse could be, all right, what can I do now to lose that COVID-19 that I put on during the pandemic? And I use that as the excuse to get healthier. So reducing salt in your diets, reducing the amount of sugar in your diets, changing how your plate looks, as simple as that, because a lot of times we are meat first, and then we have a little vegetable and a starch. And so all that sugar and cholesterol and protein that could come, there's good protein, but then there's that skin on the chicken, there's fat on certain meats and things like that If we reshape how our plate looks by half of it being fresh fruits and vegetables, then a small starch and a small meat about the size of your palm, and then roll back our serving sizes, I think we can use that COVID excuse on the other side to say, you know what, I'm going to lose that 19 and continue on to a healthier lifestyle.
And Ellis, may I add something?
Mm-hmm.
You were right about talking about the plate, but also just something as simple as, instead of eating on a dinner plate, then pull out that salad plate.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that automatically reduces the amount of food that you can ingest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Snack throughout the day, right? Healthy snacks throughout the day will help you curtail your appetite when you come to dinner. Because I know a lot of us are busy, and sometimes we tend to delay eating, and then when we get to that plate at dinner, we're ravenously hungry, and then of course we're going to eat those foods that are going to make us feel full, and that's the fats and the sugars and things like that, and so that fills our body up. Whereas vegetables, when we eat vegetables, like I might still be a little bit hungry, so you gotta prepare for that. But if you snack with some nuts and fruits throughout the day, and then when you get to your plate, using that smaller salad plate size, and then filling it up with vegetables, you'll have a better chance of not overeating. And then you can have, Dr. Mattox, a small cup that Dr. Morris was talking about. Not these.
Now, remember, she had two though. And family, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about when Superwoman bites the dust, how she picks the pieces back up. And we started with the obvious because so many of us were self-soothing with food and consuming more COVID calories, picking up the extra COVID-19 pounds, as Ellis was talking about. And just those pandemic pounds have added up to some double chins for some of us, some bigger bellies. And one of the things that I will say, even with the knowledge, because so many of us are wearing so many different hats. We're moms, we're wives, we're executives, we're not executives, but we're caretakers for our family members. And by the time you get home from your work and your child's practice and picking up this, all you want to do is maybe drive through Popeyes. And it didn't hurt when Popeyes is like 10 minutes from your house. And on the other side of Popeyes is Dairy Queen. I'm just saying, somebody I know
you're on the block right now, Doc. I need you to make another turn because you're on the block right now.
I'm just saying, when that happens, for me, I remember at the beginning of the year, I said I was going to be meal prepping. I bought all these meal prepping things, family. I'm one of the people that they talk about who falls off the wagon before you hit February. Fell off the wagon. So we're going to talk about meal prepping, even because I found that meal prepping was good for my mental health. Like I felt better about myself when I knew that I had grapes in my purse during the meeting, and I could bypass the Snickers bar, I could bypass the vending machines. When I had something and I didn't even have to think about it, there was no decision fatigue. Let's talk about meal prep a little bit, and then we're going to pivot back to some of the mental health pieces of that.
Yeah, I
got a good question for Dr. Walker from one of our viewers. This is from Shannon, and she's talking about perimenopause. I forgot to OB about this.
Oh, yes, Shannon.
Yeah, she noticed that with perimenopause, her appetite has changed significantly. I don't know if it's increased or decreased, but she's saying that with perimenopause. Could you speak to that briefly?
Yeah, I think there are a multitude of facets involved in our appetites as we travel through life, but perimenopause in particular has so many things that can affect people in different ways. And just like sometimes we get cravings for different things around the time of our menstrual cycle, perimenopause can bring about different changes. And the things we have to remember is still some of the basics that we have to take care of. And that's drinking plenty of fluids, plenty of water. As we get older, and that's one of the primary complaints that I get in addition to perimenopausal symptoms is weight gain in the late 30s, 40s, and 50s. And everyone wants to blame it on perimenopause and menopause, and certainly that plays a role, but it also has to do with the fact that our metabolism tends to slow down. And so although we may have different cravings, we still have to be intentional about what we're putting in our bodies, right? you would tell the same thing to a child or a loved one, is, what you put in is what you get out. And so if you're putting, the junk in, you're not going to get much good out of it. In fact, in perimenopause and menopause, with a lot of the things that people will complain of is hot flashes and night sweats. Caffeine can play a big role in those symptoms. So decreasing your caffeine intake, whether it's sodas, coffee, chocolate, which is one of the things, a go-to craving for a lot of us. Again, things that can create more intense heat. So what I love in my purse, my hot sauce, things that create heat can also increase your hot flashes and symptoms. So yeah, I can certainly acknowledge what she's saying and how you're feeling. And so it's just a matter of trying to identify, okay, well, what still fits into my healthy menu, right? And your cravings may change, but still what fits into my healthy menu. And you still have to be intentional about what you're putting in your body. And certainly following, a whole food, whole grain, plant-based, kind of diet can be very helpful. I'm not saying that I'm not an advocate for any particular type of diet. I do love like a Mediterranean type of diet, because I think it's a healthier version of what, the mainstream, what we do here in America. But talking to your provider can be helpful also, in trying to identify things that, may be slowing you down and decreasing your things that can decrease your mental thought process.
And I would throw in increasing your protein intake. For me, particularly during the, pre-menses, during menses, increasing my water intake and not having and not having caffeine, but it is because when I have like Cokes and sodas, that contributes to me wanting more junk. So if I'm eating water and fish and higher proteins, nuts, and those kinds of things, and being intentional about it, it really does help with my cravings. The other thing I would say is, if you're perimenopausal, likely you're on some different types of medicines. Do talk to your pharmacist and your doctors, because some of these medicines that we prescribe can increase your appetite. As a psychiatrist, there are certain medications that I prescribe that I tell them, I know this medicine is going to make you feel better, but if you are not committing to working out and eating healthier, if you come back here and you gain 20 pounds, I don't care how better you feel, I'm taking you off the medicine. So get your mind together related to that. Because if I put, and I'll throw out olanzapine or Zyprexa or Seroquel or mirtazapine or Remeron. If I put you on those medicines, I know they stimulate your appetite. So I think it was Sharon who was saying that. Sharon, go back with your medication list and see if you are on any medicines that stimulate your appetite, and if there are any any other strategies, any other medication options that you might consider. Dr. Sylvia, anything you want to add before we move on? And we do want to talk a little bit about good. Well, I don't want to say good and bad. I'll say healthier, maybe less healthier, some of those good fats and not so good fats. Yeah, menopause. Okay, wait a minute. Maybe menopause is kicking my butt big time. I drink caffeine. You got to cut back on the caffeine, darling, throughout the day. And now, yes. And I'm going to tell you what. When I remember when my doctor told me to cut back on the caffeine, I felt like he said, "Give me give me a kidney, give me your firstborn or something." Like that did not feel good to me. I wonder if transitioning to things with a little bit less caffeine, like I transitioned to green tea, a little, so that caffeine definitely, and Sharma, it will mess with you, making you sweat as well. Dr. Morris, you look like you wanted to say something. Let me let you in here.
Yeah, so I lived in Seattle for a long time. So when you talk about cutting back on my coffee and my caffeine, I'm not having it. If you can simply write down how much, Dr. Walker's been talking about being intentional. So how much caffeine are you drinking every day? So are you drinking 3 cups of coffee throughout the morning, and then you have a Diet Coke in the afternoon, and then in the evening on the way home, you have an energy drink? That's a lot of caffeine. So you don't want to go cold turkey because you're going to be, shall we say, angry or unpleasant to be around. Maybe that doesn't happen to you, but it certainly happens to me. But you want to cut back. So if you're drinking 5 caffeinated beverages every day, starting on Monday, you drink 4. The next Monday, you drink 3. So you stepwise decrease your amount of caffeine.
Great advice.
And listen, family, and tell your doctor the truth. I've shared the story about me going to the doctor and them asking me how much caffeine I was having, and I was drinking about 2 pots a day, but I thought that was bad, so I said 1 pot a day, and then the guy's eyes got big, and I was like, maybe I should have said a half a pot. But I was in there with heart palpitations, thinking I was having a heart attack, and when he when he asked that question, I didn't think my caffeine intake had anything to do with it. But I was in there. I was a doctor in the doctor's office lying. Family, don't do that. Now when I go in, I just choose doctors that I could tell the truth with, and I know they're judging me, and I say, I know better. So
we get paid to judge people. I'm sorry. You want us to be judgmental so that we can help you change your behavior, not side-eye judgmental.
Right.
Just a little bit like, hey, what are you doing here? And the other thing that people are less candid about is alcohol. How much do you drink?
Y'all about to make me turn off my camera.
but what we are trying to say is, I get that it can be uncomfortable to tell us the truth. I personally get it's uncomfortable to tell the truth about coffee. Now, if I was doing drugs, I wouldn't have told the truth, right? If I couldn't tell the truth about coffee, or at that time didn't feel like I could. But this is the other caveat. If you feel extremely judged or like you can't have those tough conversations, you may actually want to consider why, kind of back up and say, why is this? But can you all get on the same team? If you're feeling really, because I hear about some fat shaming and some different things that happen. And if you are feeling like you guys are not vibing on that point, now listen, now sometimes they're telling you the truth and you just don't like it. And you don't like how they said it, but it's still the truth. But if the way they deliver it is really something that is putting barriers up for you, consider getting some recommendations from your friends about other people that you can share your truth with and feel valued and feel heard and feel affirmed. And I'm not going to tell you won't feel judged, because I really felt judged, but the judgment was on to the point where I might have to get some medicine, right? So circling. So listen, I think we got some folks who want to talk about menopause. And so while I was going to move over, Ellis, are there any other, so the menopause sweats, the menopause food, was there anything else about it?
Well, I think Shannon is asking that we might just do a whole show on menopause, because I think we've got some folks that some other experts that we can invite to come on and have that real conversation, because I think we've done that before, but I think we might run it back.
Yeah, and Shannon, what I'm going to say is, in the interim, if you go and you look for all of my shows on blackdoctor.org, you can find one that's already been done. Now, we will bring you a new one, but in the interim, go back. Ellis, I know I've done a couple of shows on menopause.
We've done shows, and we've had Dr. Bobby on, who wrote the book called The Hot Mess. So you can look that up. Dr. Barbara Hanna, and she talks about menopause and her treatment. She's out of Detroit, so if you're there in the Detroit area, you can go see Dr. Barbara. She's fantastic. And I think we've done some menopause shows here, but we'll find it, and if I can use my producing skills for a minute, and I'll find the link to some of that programming that we've had on Black Doctor, and I can put the link in the comments for you to watch that programming. But we'll definitely do it again here on this show, because you see how we are here.
Absolutely.
we'll make menopause as fun as possible. How about that?
And what I'm going to tell you, there is nothing like going from the menopause when I walk into a room to menopause.
Yes. I like to talk about it much more now that I am in it. So
going from hot girl summer to hot girl summer. Listen, so thank you for that suggestion. We will follow up. We may have our next topic for November 30th. Okay, family. So go ahead and pencil in November 30th. We will talk to you about menopause on November 30th for sure. Is that right, family? All right. I'm loving it. Okay, now I do have to I will pivot just a little bit. You all are seeing, Dr. Walker, you're OB gyne doc. Dr. Morris, you are hospitalist. So you are seeing, or you have seen at some point, what happens when, to our bodies when we keep pushing. Because one of the things that superwomen do is we press. And we're rewarded for it. At church, you hear all the time, I press my way. And at work, you hear, I was sick, but I came to work. And then you got everybody else sick, but that's beside the point. And so we are people who are accustomed to pressing our way. And the legacy that we had, many times we didn't get to take off. But now that we can, we don't use our sick days and we press our way, and then our bodies break down. What do you say to the women about who are pressing their way? How do you tell them, hey, hold up on that pressing their way? What are you seeing in your practices or in your personal lives to say, we need you to stop pressing so?
I mean, the topic is so relevant right now. As a matter of fact, I mean, statistically, for physicians, particularly surgeons or OBGYNs in particular, the rate of suicide has just continued to rise in our country. And I think, the problem was there prior to the pandemic, but this pandemic certainly didn't help. And so it's become, right there in my face, as far as, okay, what do I need to do for myself? And I think the first thing I need to do is the first thing I tell patients to do is take inventory. What is working for you right now? What gives you joy? What gives you peace? What is not working for you right now? And obviously, the majority of us need to work. So it's not like you can just say, okay, I'm quitting. Although a lot of us are, or pivoting. And so, trying to identify where you can set your limits. And so if it's an extra project at work or outside at church, at the kids' school, if it's an extra project that you do not have to take and you're already stretched, it's time to take inventory and say, okay, I would love to participate, but right now I can't. I have too much on my plate. It's a matter of prioritizing self so that you can take care of the others around you, right? So we talked about eating healthy and moving, exercise. So there's no way you can get around the fact that we need to move on a daily basis. And that can help in terms of all the things that we've discussed today, right? The COVID-19, stress, depression, anxiety, menopause, perimenopause, just that fact, movement has been shown, and I'm saying exercise, but just moving. So walking is my favorite because it's free, it's easy on the body. And yeah, I think those are, kind of the top three is taking inventory, learning to say no, set your limits, and, getting out there and moving, getting some exercise for your health. Yes.
Yeah. And I frequently say, I try not to use the word exercise because for many of us, when we hear that, it's like we've heard a four-letter word. So I really like how you say get moving, because that can look a lot different. When people hear exercise, they think go to the gym. Right. They think lift weights or something like that. But when I hear moving, that can be a nature walk. That can be, doing hula hoop with your kids, playing tag, basketball. you can actually be making family memories when you're moving if you don't put yourself in the box. My daughter has a wee dance game. Let me just tell you, I have a newfound appreciation for Michael Jackson, because when we're doing all those dances, I'm out of breath. I don't know how Michael Jackson put on a whole 2-hour concert. After 2 minutes of one of his sets, I'm just like, hey, hold on.
Ooh,
We have a defibrillator in this house, okay? But that is making memories. So I want you to reprogram and hop out of the box so that you don't hear exercise, but that you hear get moving. And that can happen with a walk with your significant other, walking your dog, doing all kinds of things. Many times we talked about going to eat to bond. Take a hike with your friends. Now, y'all, I got this person on my shoulder saying, "Do you hear yourself?" Family, on November 30th, when they come back, I'm going to have a list of activities that I'm going to share with you about what I've done, because I'm not just going to be preaching to y'all. After I have preached to you, I got to save myself too. All right, Dr. Morris, tell us what you want to say.
I'm
What
glad, I'm,
else?
glad, I'm glad it's being recorded, so I have that. I have it. But I will say that, all jokes aside, there's a lot of wearables, and we mean that in terms of your watches. There's a lot of wearables that you can set goals in those wearables. I do that with my I have an Apple Watch, and I have a goal, and there's 3 different goals. And so what we're talking about is, one is a stand goal, like you're sitting too long, and it reminds me that you need to stand up for 1 minute. It has a move goal, right? Just moving. And then it has an exercise goal, right? And you set each one of those. And so those are 3 different things. Standing up, if you're sitting sedentary too long, get up, let that blood circulate throughout your body, stand for 1 minute. And they ask me to do it 1 minute for every hour that I'm sitting down. They says, hey, it's time to stand up. And then the other thing is move goals. And so you have a move goal for each day. And that's just, sometimes it's not exercise if I'm on the top floor and I have to walk down a flight of stairs, but it hits a move goal because now my body is moving. And then the final thing is, if I do choose exercise and go for a walk or go for a ride on my bike or whatever, then I can that hits that exercise goal. And then there's other things that you can put in to mark your exercise for the week, and you can set that on your own. So those are ways that you can your actual own devices can hold you accountable. They could be your accountability partner, even if you don't have a friend or a family member that can do that. Your own watch can say, hey, look, you've been sitting down too long. Get up off that couch, stop watching TV, stop getting that 2-fisted scoop of ice cream for your milkshake, and walk, right? Do something. Oh, I've never let that go, Dr.
I was just thinking, I'm never going to live that comment down. Alex is like the little brother who is always telling your mama what you did. Even though you gave him money to pay him to not tell, he still tells.
Look, I'm glad we got off of Popeyes and alcohol, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yes. Now listen, I'm seeing you in the chat. You are lighting it up for me. I would say share this because Ellis, just what he said was finger looking good. Share it, even though it tasted like castor oil right there, but it's still good for you. It's still good for you. It's still good for you. Dr. Morris, did you want to say anything more before family? Our time is getting away. Do you know we are nearly 3/4 of the way on the show? Oh my. That means
I actually want to go way back to when you talk about meal prepping. And I'm going to say 2 words that are pretty old school: TV dinner. So in a perfect world, I make some quinoa or some brown rice, and I roast some vegetables, and I roast some protein source, and it's in my refrigerator. So when I'm driving home, I can think about, oh, I have this wonderful stuff in my refrigerator for dinner. There are days when I run out of food. So I always keep a TV dinner, and I don't necessarily mean the old school one with the little brownie and the mashed potatoes and the fried chicken, although that is tasty in a pinch. What I mean is something that may be whatever tickles your fancy. So is it gluten-free? Is it vegan? Is it low carb? But if we go to the frozen food section of our supermarkets, there are a lot of new healthy choices that are quick, fast, and convenient. Now, I'm not telling you to eat a TV dinner every day. That is not my recommendation. But just to sort of alleviate some stress of, well, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? Then have something in the freezer that will be easy for you to pull out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I had a guest on a different segment who would, in July and August, she was a med student who was also a pharmacist, but in July and August, she had 5 crock pots going, and she would be doing all these meals because she knew that her time was not hers, and she didn't want, and so she would make 3 months worth of food and put it in freezer and that kind of stuff, and have it. And when I started doing meal prepping, let me tell you what happened. As we're going into January, when we're going to start lying to ourselves, talking about we're going to save money, we're going to lose weight, we're going to work on our communication. Let me tell you one way to save money and lose weight, and that is to meal prep. Mm-hmm. Because it takes you 15 minutes in the line, and then you pay for a lot, and you pay, and then you get a little. But if you meal prep, you will save money. You won't have to be in the line for 15 minutes, and then you drove there 30 minutes and it drove back. It will save you time. So meal prep, meal prep, meal prep, and meal prep stuff that you like. Yes. And meal prepping, I'm saying meal prepping, but let me tell you what it looked like. It looks like not letting your leftovers go to waste because you put it in the freezer.
Yes.
I mean, that it can be as simple as that, right? You can roast some vegetables, and check it out. I didn't even know that, like, broccoli and red peppers and all that stuff was good. I had, because I've been eating frozen. So when I actually started making myself, I was like, oh, this is good. So it's tasty, it's cheaper, and don't throw leftovers out like we used to do in our house and still do sometimes. Put that stuff in the freezer and eat it. And that can be your TV dinner.
And if you have a partner, a husband like mine, who does not like leftovers, and if he saw you pulling it out of the freezer, would automatically say, I'm going to go get something to eat. You can put, I've made this spaghetti sauce, and I can't remember the book I got it out of, but it's got a ton of vegetables in it, but I put it in the, the blender food processor. So he doesn't taste the vegetables, but it's like a kind of primavera sauce, but it freezes easily. So even that, I've got my sauce in the freezer, I take it out, nobody knows the difference. But I think the key with meal prepping, I'm definitely not a queen of meal prepping. Actually, one of our co-authors, I was thinking of Dr. Boykin.
Dr. Boykin.
Yeah. When we were in medical school, I mean, it was Saturday, Sunday, she was prepping for the whole week, and I've never gotten that down. So I think some people have that innate ability. I don't.
But we got to bring Dr. Boykins on the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
She's got 3 kids, and she's an OBGYN, and yeah, that part she's got down.
Yes.
But I think a couple of things. Number one, set a menu. Get a couple of recipes that you really like. Identify 1 or 2 for the week. Go to the grocery store after you've eaten, not before.
Right.
So you're only buying the things that you need on your list and not the things that you're craving because you're in perimenopause. And set aside that time, put that on your schedule, your calendar. I think that's the key for me is scheduling it in. That's the scheduled time that I'm going to meal prep. You can't just say next week I'm going to do the meal prep and it's not on your calendar, because then next week comes around and there's already something else on your agenda.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think,
and
I would say the one thing that we do is, because it's always the meat that's always the one that's the hardest, because you're busy and you get home, you're like, oh, we didn't take anything out, it's not seasoned, it's not thawed, blah blah blah. So on Sunday, I bought the vacuum sealer, right? And so you can prep your meat, you can season it right there, vacuum seal it, and then when you're getting up in the morning, you put it out, it thaws out through the day. So when you come home, it's already done, it's seasoned, it's ready to go. And then that way you just have to make your vegetables and your sides to go with it. And that's always quicker because fresh vegetables in particular they tend to cook faster because there's not a lot that you can do with it. Steam some broccoli, whatever. And so that makes it faster. And you've done that meal prep throughout the week. It does save money. I did realize that because every time you go to that store, you're typically going to buy something that you shouldn't have been buying. I'm not going to say out loud what you are buying when you go to the store on a regular basis. But
somebody, Miss Ellis, come get here.
But listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Is if you know the sealer is a bit excessive, but I'm a gadget guy. You can get those freezer bags, right? Those gallon freezer bags, put it in there, and you can really do a makeshift straw zip, put a straw in the end, pull that air out, and you can kind of do it on your own. I've done that as well. And so that's a way to overcome that needing the actual sealer to do it. Because I know that, like I said, it's a bit money. So you can do the straw with the freezer bag and then have that ready to have it seasoned and just do it on Sunday, especially when I'm home during football season. It's great. I throw the game on and I'm sitting in the kitchen, cutting, chopping, seasoning, and I've got stuff ready for the week. So that's the way you do it.
Here's another one, delegation. So you just gave me a great idea, Ellis. Mr. Walker is going to do that part. He has the sealer. So.
Yeah, the amazing thing for me is when I'm doing it, like I think ahead. So if I am cooking chicken, we may have chicken fajitas. I may make some chicken salad, chicken pot pie, because I, like your husband, Dr. Walker, I do not like leftovers at all. I don't like to eat the same thing. That's why it's really important for me to freeze stuff and then pull it out. So when I do that and I do it all at once, I make different types. Or if you're going to use ground beef, use it for, tacos and whatever else it is that you're going to do. But go ahead and you can just be thoughtful and intentional, Dr. Walker's word of the day, so that you can have things that you enjoy. And it takes the time. Like I make breakfast. I'm a breakfast eater. And so I will make a week's worth of breakfast. My family doesn't eat it, but we'll have quiche, we'll have fajitas, breakfast burritos, those kinds of things, because I'm not a cereal girl. And for the record, if you are feeding your children cereal, that there's high carb, low protein, and they are more likely to be hyperactive. If you're a mom on here, please do not feed your children cereal or Pop-Tarts or that kind of stuff in the morning. And if they have been diagnosed with ADHD, help the medicine out by higher protein. That is meat. That's what we used to eat when we were little, probably, meat and eggs or peanut butter sandwich or nuts, and give them that. Now, if you want to give them cereal because they love cereal, give it to them in the night when they don't have to concentrate. But cognitively, cereal sucks and is not a good thing to give your kids. Cereal, Pop-Tarts, all that sweet, sugary stuff that you do in the mornings, that is a recipe for looking like they have ADHD. And there is somebody who is listening to this that even though you weren't getting anything out, this was a point you needed. And this is what you need to share with your friends. Family, we are almost there.
My mom was watching this, and so I'm glad you said that. I'm hoping she's still watching because she was watching it. My mother. And so all that sugary cereal you gave us, see, that's why I was acting up.
Listen, you did a fine job. Don't let that boy blame that.
All the Pop-Tarts. You hear that?
I can say this because, listen, I remember one day, I know exactly what I fed her. We got a call from her school. I thought, Lord, what has this child done today? And the teacher was calling me to tell me that she got student of the day or something. Mm-hmm. And I went back and I said, what did she have for breakfast? And family, she had a high protein meal. And on some of those days when I get the proverbial call that you're not, when I go back and I say, what did you eat? It's some foolishness. So listen, I'm Miss Belton, we believe you, but I'm sure. We believe you. We ladies stick together. Family, we are near the end of our time. I want to just, first of all, thank all of our guests who are tuning in and to encourage them. If you laughed as much as we did up here, go ahead and share this. If you did not laugh as much and you wanted something different, drop in the chat what you were hoping that we would talk about, so that when I bring these ladies back again on November 30th, that we can answer some of those questions. And put all your menopause questions. Go ahead and put them in the chat. Your sisters, if you know, who are going through menopause, send this to them and tell them to come back and put it in the chat, because we will be answering all of your questions. You might not like the answer because they may be telling you to cut back on your caffeine. Don't throw the computer out the window when they say that. Just hear what they said. Now, ladies, as we're wrapping up, ladies and Ellis, as we are wrapping up, give us your final remarks, something you didn't get a chance to say that you wish you had said or you plan to say, or some resources or strategies that they should consider.
I want people to do less so that they can do more. Because really we want to keep things simple.
That'll preach.
I always need a plug for getting vaccinated. We're going to start hanging out with our families. We're indoors more, so I need you to get a flu shot in one arm and get your COVID vaccine in the other arm. And then finally, turn the lights down low. We didn't talk about sleep, but sleep is something that's really important. So turn the lights down low. If we think about Teddy Pendergrass, he said, turn them off. We want these screens to be off an hour before you go to bed, and make sure if you're sitting under some type of light source reading that it is softer. So turn the lights off, do less to do more, and get your COVID and flu vaccine.
Love it.
Family, that do less to do more. I want you to know, I need you to make that your password. That right there, do less to do more. You need to remember, you all tweet that and give Dr. Sylvia Morris credit. When you share this, that needs to be what you have. Go back and put do less to do more, and credit Dr. Morris. Now, we want you to get your credit, Dr. Morris, but that's it right there. Dr. Walker Ellis.
I don't feel like I can beat her,
which you're not going to beat her, but just say something.
Following Dr. Morris. But I think that three things that, one of the things that came out today is goals. I think Ellis actually mentioned that, is that, before trying to change everything in your life, set some goals. There's some basic goals of what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and be intentional about how you're going to go about doing that. And I think the third thing is, give yourself grace. This is life. Life is, it's full of ups and downs, but we can't beat ourselves up about things. We can identify when we take inventory of what we think needs to change and be intentional about it. But things are going to happen, and you have to give yourself grace in the process of, making the necessary changes.
Absolutely. Give yourself some grace and be intentional. Those are the quotes you put in there for Dr. Walker. Ellis Dean.
A couple of things. Black folks, we got to cut down on our sugar and salt intake. That's number one. So find some herbs, find some seasonings that you can substitute for. And I've been on this journey with thyme and rosemary and oregano and fresh and all that stuff. So please cut down on your salt. Whatever the RDA is for salt intake, cut that in half, Black people, and find a way to season your food, because we like seasoning. I've been Black my whole life, so I understand that. We like seasoned food, but there's a way to season it that's going to keep you healthy. Number two is I love the fact about being intentional. Being intentional about improvement every day. You only live in the moment that you're in, right? So we can lament yesterday, but we can't do anything about it. We can have hope for the future, but we can't have a prosperous future if we're not focusing on today and being the best that we can be today. And so be in the moment as much as possible. And if you want tomorrow to be better, focus on today. If you do the best you can do today, tomorrow will be better. So please remember that. Cut down on your salt and sugar, be intentional, and focus on what you can do in the moment, so tomorrow will be better for you, and the future will be better.
Yes.
Amen.
I'm going to say this right here. Many of us are waiting for the new year, for January 1, to announce what our New Year's goals are and our resolutions. Don't do that. Begin to start today doing just one or two things that you can do. You can meal prep. You can walk for 10 minutes a day with your girlfriends after work, or you can walk while you're in the house, while you're on the phone with your friends, or you can go play with your kids and make memories. Whatever it is, or you can cut back on smoking. Somebody needs to hear that. Cut back and then cut out. Or you can do hula hooping with your kids, but choose to make memories and choose to give yourself some grace, choose to be intentional, choose to meal prep, and choose to cut back on that caffeine, Charmin Janae. All right? Family, we appreciate you for tuning in. I want you to understand that while we look like we have our stuff together, you heard from us that we sometimes struggle, that some of the counsel that we're giving you, we're trying to give and take ourselves. We're not just giving it away to you, we're trying to receive this as well. On November 30th, you all go on and mark your calendars, because when I come back, I'm going to tell you about the walking. I'm not just going to talk the talk, I'm going to walk the walk. And I might even tell you, probably not, I might even give you a comparison of what the scale looked like today versus what it looks like on November 30th. Now that I can't make you any promises.
Big checks.
I can't make you any promises. I'm feeling good. I don't know what this looks like. Water. Something must be in this cup. I'm talking crazy. Strike that from the remarks, okay?
No. I'm flipping that one out too.
I will be accountable on November 30th, and I will report out what I've been doing. Those of you who are on here, listen. You know what? I'm gonna step out. I'm going to create I'm not crazy, but group. Y'all join that group, and go ahead and join that group right now. And then I will take you on the journey of what I'm doing as it relates to eating and exercise. Family, this is not pre-planned. Lord knows it's not pre-planned. Ellis, I'm gonna need you to help me. But we're going to journey together so that we're not waiting until January 1st, but we're going to start now being intentional. If we just get 1% better each day, then how much better will we be at the end of next year this time? So go over to I'm Not Crazy, but ask to join the group. I created that group a long time ago, didn't do a single thing with it. But today I feel inspired. I'm also a little scared and a little nervous, because that means I have to do what I'm saying I'm going to do. And now I have a whole 2.5 million folk who keep me accountable if they happen to be listening in, because that's how many folks we got following us. Ooh, I'm nervous now. This is not an exciting show. This just changed, right? Just right there. But let me stop. Let me not talk myself out of it. Go up there and join the group. And we're going to do this journey together. Yes. I love you all. Thank you, ladies. If you had a good time, show your love by dropping some hand claps, some hearts, or whatever. Tell Miss Ellis, Ellis's mom, that Ellis was just bad. That didn't have nothing to do with her. No cereal.
How about this? If you're on your phone, raise a fist for Dr. Mattox.
If you don't know what he means, put a fist in the Dr. Mattox. Don't go back and watch it, because I tell on myself. Over here, we tell the truth. We tell the truth in love, and we get better. Family, same time next week, every Thursday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 12 to 1 Eastern Time. Listen, my face is red because I think I would say it like my mama say. I think my mouth just wrote a check. My bottom is going to struggle to cash.
Do it.
So family, we going to do this together. I'm not in this by myself. You love me, right?
You're not.
Bye. Thank you, ladies.
We got you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so
Thank
much.
you.